Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is John.
This is Crystal.
I'm Mark.
I'm Zoe.
We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom. We share inspiration, we share struggles, we brainstorm solutions. We would love to have you join us. All right, you guys, we are ready for a new episode of Chaotic Harmony Classroom. Thank you for listening. We have a guest with us today. Hi, Sandra.
Hi. Yay,
Hello. Sandra. This is Sandra Camarena, and we are blessed to work with her as a music teacher in the district.
I'm lucky too. I love you guys.
Oh, love you back, lady. You. So we have had the pleasure of doing all 3 ORF levels with Sandra, and I have to say she's kind of mama hen to all of us.
Yeah, I slap them when I have to.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah.
She keeps us in line, but she's also the voice of encouragement that we call when we've had a rough patch and we need some encouragement. So,
well, right back at you guys. You guys helped me out too.
Well, thanks, dude.
You've helped me get through these 3 because I swear to you, I don't remember anything.
That's concerning.
The 3 levels.
I was like, I don't know what's happening right now.
That's what
I'm the ride.
Sandra.
It's all in the reintegration after.
Yeah. I was trying to remove cobwebs from an old brain.
Actually, I can remember the moment our friendship was born in level 1 when David started going off on this tangent talking about modes, and I was just thinking in my head, I have not thought about modes in 12 years. And my eyes crossed a little bit, and Sandra leans over and goes, dude, I have no idea what he's talking about. And I was just like, me neither.
I know, and I felt like, I was like, oh, so relieved.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe I said that out loud first. I thought, oh my God, I'm admitting that I don't know something. And I thought, you know what, I don't care.
Yeah. No, it was okay. But I mean, aren't we all a little more comfortable with modes than we ever were before?
True.
Very much so.
I think
they are
after
my
the
friends.
3rd one especially.
Yeah.
Where like they said no one really knows how modes really work because it wasn't documented well. It's okay,
Right.
cool. No one knows. Great.
No one knows.
Good.
But they are useful. Anyway,
Yes.
we should do a whole episode about modes.
Oh my God, yes.
Not today.
No.
Not today, because
So Sandra,
today...
what are your feelings on Phrygian mode?
Personally, I like Phrygian.
Oh.
Phrygian for Becky is my
She is
favorite.
an alto. Oh, okay. So, Sandra, you have such an interesting story, and I've only caught it in bits and pieces over the years, so I'm really excited to get the whole thing from beginning to end.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit, just for context for the audience, about you growing up as a kid, because you're a lifelong Southern California resident.
I'm actually native to San Diego and native to San Diego and Tijuana because I grew up on both sides.
On both sides of the border?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I grew up with that duality of 2 cultures, 2 languages, 2 different ways of living, really, because when you cross the border, you live differently. Like a simple example, like when I went to my grandmother's house, we had an outhouse. And I remember the day they were putting in a bathroom and we were like super excited. You didn't even think about it. You know,
Yeah.
it was just like normal. We had a well. We had to buy water and it went into the well. And you don't think about, oh, I live in the United States where I have all of these conveniences, paved streets and stuff like that. And I didn't have that. And I just adapted. It was like, that's how it was. And so you just went back and forth. And that's how a lot of our kids are actually here on the border. They go back and forth and they don't think about it.
Were you raised bilingual from the beginning, or was there Spanish at home?
I spoke Spanish only. My parents are immigrants. My mom is from Jalisco and therefore big time mariachi with her. And my dad is from Michoacan. And so big time only Spanish was spoken in my home. My parents were adamant, especially my mother, about us learning how to read, write, and speak in Spanish.
Good. So you could communicate with your family?
My mom felt that it was going to be a plus for us to be bilingual. So she was really militant about it. I mean, sometimes she wouldn't answer questions if they weren't asked in Spanish. So sometimes when I was angry, I wouldn't ask her anything because I was mad. I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to do what she wanted me to do. She taught us how to read. She corrected us. She was just really tough on us. And my dad's rule was when you crossed the border, you stopped speaking English.
Oh, wow.
We didn't follow it all the time.
Reading, writing, singing in Spanish.
Oh, God.
Right?
Yeah. I cut my teeth on Mexican music.
Yeah.
That's all I grew up with. Was my mother is a big singer, was a big singer.
Yeah?
Yeah. Her and my aunt recorded in Tijuana, and they were on the radio. And so I grew up completely immersed in music. My aunt, and the minute my aunt came over for Easter, Christmas, whatever, they would get out this old funky recorder. I know you guys don't know what this is, but those reel-to-reels. We had one of those.
Oh, I know what that is.
Reel-to-reel. They were huge. And my aunt would show up and my mom would pull out the guitar and they'd be sitting there recording themselves.
Oh, wow.
And so I learned to play the guitar to accompany them and my dad and any other combination of duet or trio that anybody did.
That's amazing. Do those recordings still exist?
My mom has them somewhere
Yeah.
now. My aunt and my grandmother would always record all the parties because they would line us up in the living room, all 11 of us, on my mom's side. And they had a little partition in our 1930s home. And they would all sit at the table and drink and sing until 3 a.m.
Wow.
And then they would periodically tell us to shut up because we would be laughing and, and carrying on next door. And then, it'd be like, be quiet, and then close the door and then they go back to singing. And my grandmother always had a recorder.
Yeah.
Always had her cassette recorder recording everything. And then she'd listen to it late at night when she couldn't sleep.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It was there was music all the time in my house.
that's really cool.
All the time.
So when are we going to stay up till 3 making music, drinking?
That sounds pretty fun.
Oh, my God. It was so much fun. I mean, it was so much fun.
With
I
a
mean,
reel to reel?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Let's do
please. Bring the real.
Yeah.
Bring 8 tracks back. Hey.
Okay.
Because that's how old I am.
Music sounds best
I'll
on
take reel to
CDs,
reel,
guys,
8
let's
track.
be honest.
So I've heard you talk before about growing up in our school system as a English learner, and you were going to school during integration.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I started school in 1965 because 65. And so, right, that's when civil rights was happening. And San Diego was different. I grew up in an area that was very integrated. We had Navy housing on top of the hill above our school. And then I lived on a street that had 2 other Hispanic families, though my dad didn't think they were Hispanic because they didn't really speak Spanish anymore. They'd been here. They'd been there for, they were like 3rd, 4th generation, so they didn't speak Spanish anymore. So we were the only Spanish-speaking family on the block.
Wow.
But we grew up with everything. And then right around 2nd grade, we had a huge Filipino insurgents of people coming because of the Navy. And they actually got rid of our canyon behind our school and they built a bunch of homes, and that became what is today Little Manila.
Okay.
And so I grew up with everything. Samoans, a lot of Pacific Islanders, Mexicans, a lot of African Americans, and Anglo people from all over the country and the world.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting.
And I love the stories that you tell about that reel to reel showing up at your school concerts.
My
to
mom.
record.
No, my mom had, by that time we had a real cassette player.
Okay.
So she would
Sitting
have
on
to
her
sit there
lap.
and do this.
With her fingers.
At
yes,
the
sit down.
timing was everything. So, right, And so, yeah, we have those recordings from our shows when we were doing chorus because I was fortunate enough to have chorus. And as a second language learner, I'm going to tell you that I did not learn how to speak English. I went to school. I didn't speak English at all. I was the oldest. And I learned via music. My kindergarten teacher sang with us before we went home. And it took me years before I realized what I was saying. I would just sing the songs. And then one day I went, I'm singing about a bluebird. Oh, I didn't know that. And stuff like that. And then in 2nd grade, I joined the chorus. I had a music teacher who would come every once in a while. And she listened to us sing individually, and she asked me to be in the chorus. And so we did things like Take Me Out to the Ball Game, Glowworm. I don't even know what the theme was. I just know I was singing these songs. And then we had like a 4th grade, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade chorus. And that's when we did,
So there's an infamous musical that she loves to regale us with once in a while about desegregation, and you have to sing the banner song.
Okay, so I went to Paradise Hills Elementary, and we did this whole program about how integrated we are and how multicultural we are. And so it was basically a multicultural program. And our opening and our ending song was a song that our 2 other teachers had composed. And it was, we're the ethnic balanced, racially integrated Paradise Hill School Chorus. And all this talk of trouble at school just simply tends to bore us. We like each other and get along well, and our teachers just adore us. We're the ethnic balanced, racially integrated Paradise Hill School Chorus. Dun, 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 dun. Our families come from 50 states. They're known wherever you know or go. From Guam, Japan, the Philippines, and nearby Mexico. Samoa and Hawaii, where the dancers move with zest. And long ago from Africa, where rhythms were the best. Oh, yeah. So inappropriate.
Keep on going.
We're
the ethnic balanced, racially integrated Paradise Hill School Chorus. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what's more offensive, the lyrics or the lack of melodic line. It's like,
All of
it
it.
only took me like 50 times hearing her like randomly burst. She likes to burst into
Oh, I'm sure.
at the most inopportune moments, like when I'm supposed to not be messing around. had I finally figured out it's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Thank you.
Even though the sound of it
Absolutely.
is something
Yeah.
quite atrocious. If you
no,
say it
no,
loud,
no,
You're gonna judge me hard. I'm not gonna say anything about that, but
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And so they took that, and it was just, and
Oh,
so
man.
we had, that's how I learned chichirichit, ali bang bang, salagento, salaguba, because it was, Filipinos got to sing a song, and so,
It was
everybody did it.
well-intentioned.
that's probably the best
I
way
just want
to
you to
look
know
at
that
it.
we were
It
on
was
channel. We
well-intentioned.
were on channel 8. Okay.
Oh, was it
We were on
televised?
channel 8. It was
Oh
we
my
actually were
goodness.
televised because it was propaganda.
Wow.
Makes
So
sense.
we grew up with a lot. I grew up with a lot of racism. It
Huge.
is systematic. It was okay racism. People
yeah.
would constantly tell me that I wasn't Mexican. No, you're Spanish. I'm like, no. And then I'd ask my mom.
I'm not from Spain.
Yeah.
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 And so they would just, like there was things that Mexican was bad, Spanish was good. That kind of.
It's kind of like when people said Filipinos aren't Asian, they're Pacific Islander, except
Yes.
Dealt
Right,
with that a lot.
labels.
Yeah.
But then it was just it was just
But-
not acceptable.
right. And yours has a much deeper racial layer,
Yeah.
for sure.
So there was just a lot of racial stuff that we grew up with, and it was you kept your mouth shut because you just couldn't say anything.
Because we.
Yeah. So they wanted to because of that. They wanted, when I graduated from 6th grade, promoted, they wanted to send me to an inner city school to integrate, and my mother was like, nope, because it would have been like a 2-hour,
Oh my
commute
goodness.
on the bus, and my mom was like, no, you're not going to go. So I was like, okay, good.
She
So
sounds
I
like she was fierce.
She was actually. She defended me. She didn't tell me until I was in graduated high school that my first grade teacher wanted to flunk me.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Because I didn't speak English.
Oh,
and my
my
mother
goodness.
was like, you were not going to flunk her. And she told my mother I was going to be a high school dropout.
What?
Well, you showed her.
And my mother told me when I graduated. She goes, I wish I had her number. I wish I had her address. I sent her a graduation. And she goes, and you're going to go to college? I said, yeah, Mom, I am. So
Yeah,
Not
you are.
only did you graduate, you have changed the course of so many kids' lives.
Oh, yeah.
Over your career.
yeah, I'd like to
It's-
think so. I don't
Oh,
know about
I
the
mean, I
good
know
or
it's
the.
true.
I don't know if it's good or bad. Sometimes I'm like, oof, that was really tough. I've met some of my former students, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then they'll tell me like, remember when we did this? And I was like, oh, I forgot I did that with you. And then I go, okay, I wasn't so bad. But I was singing. I was singing with my kids from the very beginning.
Yeah. You brought music into schools.
Because you didn't,
Immediately.
even though you're a music teacher right now, you didn't just teach music.
No, I started out, well, that's, so when I went to San Diego State, I was a music major. I was a piano major.
Okay.
Never occurred to me to be a singer, which is funny because that's what I do for a living now, my
Good
other
to do.
life. But, so I was a piano major, and I decided right about, I don't know, I think my junior year, all the jobs were disappearing. And I thought, crap.
What year
I'm
is
not
this
gonna
again?
have a job. 80 something.
Okay, yeah.
It was in the 80s, probably 83.
After Prop 13.
Yeah.
So
Everything
funding
got
dried
cut.
up. Yeah.
So there was no funding, and I thought, I'm not going to have a job. So I was sitting with a friend of mine, and she said, she goes, can you read and write? And, she goes, I know you speak Spanish, but can you read and write? And I said, yeah. And she said, they're offering a scholarship, and they'll pay for your education if you'll become a teacher. And I was like, last thing I wanted to be was a regular classroom teacher. And so I thought,
Is it
okay.
because of your experience?
In part,
Yeah.
but I think more than anything, I think it was just being rebellious because I come from a family of teachers. My mother was like,
Got
"Is
it.
there like teaching in your blood?" And I was like, "No, I'm not."
You rebellious?
I know, I can't see it.
I can't see it at all.
Super. My mother used, well, in Spanish it says Contreras. My mother said my name should have been Sandra Contreras because Contreras means contrary.
Contrary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like,
contrarian.
yeah. So if she ever told me this, I said no. So I went, and they tested me. I took a written exam. I took a verbal exam, and the next thing you know, I was on the track to become a bilingual teacher.
Wow.
So that's what I did for 16 years.
And you've been
Taught
in
me
Chula
Spanish.
Vista the whole time, yeah?
No.
No?
Oh.
Okay. Ooh.
I taught my first year here. I didn't like their idea of a bilingual program.
We said here. What is
As
it?
in Chula Vista.
Okay.
I taught in Chula Vista my first year at Loma Verde.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was like, I can't do this. I cannot continue to work in a program I don't agree with. So I left for the South Bay, which had a really good program at that time. And I worked there for 16 years. And then I quit to stay home with my kids. I went to San Diego City Schools for 1 year. And then I decided to stay home for 2 more years. And then they opened up Wolf Canyon, and my friend Deborah was the principal, and she called me up because she needed a 4th grade position. And so I thought, okay, I'll go back to work. And my husband at this point was like, please go back to work. You're never home. You're always at school, and you're not getting paid for your service. So can you just go back to work? And I was like, okay, fine. So that I opened up at Wolf Canyon. I was displaced, went to Harborside, and then I met Lauren in an art class that they were doing at the district office. I went with my friend, and we were sitting there making masks, and I don't know what they were talking about, how to integrate art into, your everyday music class. Your regular classes, which I'd already been doing for a long time.
Right. Yeah.
My friend and I had already doing, because at Wolf Canyon, Deborah was adamant about integrating the arts, so we had already started doing that.
Well, that's refreshing. Well, and also you maintained your musical career alongside.
Yeah. So
your teaching career.
Actually, when I got hired at South Bay, I auditioned for my first opera.
Yeah,
and
with the San Diego Opera Chorus. Yeah.
And I got in. So my first opera was Boris Godunov in Russian.
And how long have you been an opera chorus member?
About as long as I've been a teacher.
A teacher, wow.
Ooh.
Okay.
And even when I was off, when I was home with my kids, then I did like other things. Like I did The King and I did some Gilbert and Sullivan. So I kind of took that opportunity to work in music since I wasn't working full time as a teacher. So I did roles, I did stuff like that in those 3 years that I was off. So I have continuously worked.
Yeah.
But I started.
But they were
off
very
singing.
separate realms.
I never talked about it.
Yeah.
Nobody knew. I don't think I talked about it until I think somebody found out. I think somebody saw me, and they said, "I didn't know you sang." And I was like, "Oh, did you see me?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh." Or I think I came out on TV. It was some weird way because they would take pictures of us, and my face. I was being short. I was always usually in the front, and so they would always, they'd be like a picture of me in costume or moving on during the newscast or something. And so then somebody would say, "Oh, I didn't know you sang." And I was like, "Yeah, I do it on occasion." But to me, they were very separate.
Understatement.
I know. For 6 months, my husband calls himself an opera widower. But I separated it.
Yeah.
It was my place to be normal.
Yeah.
And then I had to come over here and be, very circumspect and very responsible and organized and just all these things I had to do as a teacher.
As a teacher, so your creative self, and then your classroom teacher version.
There was some creativity.
Sure,
there is a lot of creativity in being a regular classroom teacher if you want to do that.
Yeah.
It's just that for me it was very separate. I didn't talk about it. So
you met Lauren, our VAPA coordinator, at this art integration
she was standing
thing.
in front of me. I was sitting there shooting my mouth because somebody said to me, "Shooting my mouth."
That was you?
You, Sandra?
What a shock! I know. So I'm standing with my friend, and somebody said, "Yeah, they're going to bring art back to Chula Vista," and I was like, "What? You're kidding? You're lying, right?" They go, "No," and they're going to start music. I was like, "No," and she goes, "No, yes," and I was like, "Well, you know what I think they should do." And then, of course, I started on my soapbox because, I know everything. And Lauren turned around and she said, "What's your name?" And I was like, "I'm Sandra." And she goes, "Oh, my name is Lauren." And she goes, "So, you sing? What do you, are you a musician?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I do this, blah, blah, blah." And the next thing you know, she's like, "Well, we need music teachers." I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And she said, "Yeah, maybe you should apply." And I was like, "For what?" And she goes, "Well, we need music teachers." And I was like,
this was when she was hiring like 60 people in 3 months.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was looking at her like, "What are you talking about?" And so I told her where I was, and she said they needed a music teacher, and they had posted. And so I went back to my site, and I spoke to my principal, and he said no. He did not want a music teacher. He wanted me in 4th grade that year.
Wow.
And I was really disappointed. And he said, "You have a new team. They really need you as a leader." And I was like, fine. So I waited a year.
Okay.
And then the following year, I had Beatrice actually in my classroom.
Okay.
She was a teaching artist. So Lauren came and spoke to me again. And I was talking about, how effective the program was, because she was a San Diego Opera teaching artist at that time. And so then she encouraged me to, apply. And so I did.
Wow.
And I got hired at Otai.
I love hearing your angle of that story. And if this is the first time you've listened to Chaotic Harmony, if you can go back and you're interested in the story of how arts were reintegrated into Chula Vista schools, that's in episode 0, the prelude episode. And hearing all the details from Lauren is pretty astounding. So I love hearing your side of it too. And
I just couldn't believe it because I never thought in my lifetime I would see arts come back to school. Ever.
Sandra, your story is so interesting. I feel like after this, we need to pitch your story to like Marvel or something like Secret Lives,
the superhero music teacher.
Yeah, like it's so fascinating.
It's been, So, but you know, I wasn't the only teacher. For when I first started singing in the opera chorus, it was common to see several of us backstage during a show with homework.
Oh wow!
And I would be sitting there correcting writing or whatever.
The music teachers all found outlets. And we're just biding time.
You had to, And so there were quite a few of us that were teachers. And we would, not so much anymore. Now it's a lot of, singers up and coming, a lot of Nazareans, as I call them, from Point Loma.
From Point Loma, Naz.
And San Diego State, There's a lot more younger kids, but at that time there was like a nurse and, there's teachers and lawyers and there's still some of that. But I would be sitting backstage correcting my work when we had, like shows that we only sang, this and that, or we had like an hour in between acts and stuff. And I would be, during rehearsals, I'd be sitting there correcting stuff, because I had 33 kids.
I've heard so many stories from the 80s about how you could buy a pallet of orchestra instruments for like $50 because they were all being carted off to the dump.
I know. When Andrea told me that, I thought, oh my God, I wish I'd known.
Yeah.
Because I'm so hard up for instruments.
Yeah, I know. It just kills us now.
And she let me borrow those instruments that were on those pallets, and my kids love them. They look like hell, okay? They look like they've been beaten and, stripped, and they are ugly. The cases are all mess. But when one of my kids had to borrow one because he forgot his, and I told him, I said, that's the only one left. He goes, really? I was like, yeah, that's it.
That guy's been a survivor, baby.
Now he constantly requests that. That's his violin. I'm like,
It has a history.
Look at the bow. But then he is playing it. It has a beautiful sound.
Wow.
So he loves it. So even the quality was better.
Stories. Yeah, sure. So you've talked a little bit to all of us individually about having to adapt from teaching in the general classroom to teaching general music and the differences. Can you speak to that a little bit? What are some of the challenges that you faced in that transition? Because you were a classroom teacher for a long time.
I also, can I just add that when I met you, I immediately saw this like fire in you wanting to learn how to teach general music, and I was like a little firefly, like going towards the light. I was like, I gotta sit next to her because I was new too, but I had no teaching experience, and I knew that you had that strong foundation in teaching, even though you're new to the music room. Yeah. So
my panic was completely different. My panic was completely different. So I freaked out that first year. I had itching all over. I was so stressed that my body, I had itching for the first 3 months of school year because I was so stressed about not feeling competent and starting over again, because I started over again. I mean, and I had no curriculum.
Right.
When you go into the general music classroom, in the regular classroom, I started off teaching by myself because I was on a track. So we were 4 tracks, and the bilingual track was B. It started off only B as B track. We used to say B for bilingual, B for brown. So we were only on track. So I never had collaboration with anybody at my grade level because everybody else was teaching something different. I was a self-contained bilingual teacher, which means I had English speakers, Spanish speakers, and transition. So I was constantly in groups. And so I never had collaboration. And then I became a regular classroom teacher, and all these changes happened with Common Core, and collaboration started happening. And I got to sit with other teachers, and we shared the work, and it was like, what? This is so amazing. I don't have to do it by myself.
Yeah.
And we could learn from each other, and there was this give and take. And I think for me, Wolf Canyon was like a turning point because I had a partner, Mr. Lee, who was, could have been my child. and he acted like it sometimes, but but we had a very, very symbiotic relationship, which was really weird, and we taught really well together, and so we had a really good partnership, and it was probably the most successful teaching experience I've had, I think, in my entire life. And when we were separated, I felt like my arm had been removed, because we got to the point where we would just look at each other, and that was our meeting. We'd go, "You think?" And I'm like, "Yeah." That was our meeting. And he'd go, "Okay." And I'm like, "All right." And we knew what we were doing already. And so, and then I got separated, and went
so you went from that to being
Harborside by myself. But then I had a really good team. Like I said, and so now I'm back to being by myself. Right.
As the only music teacher in the school. Right.
And it's different. A lot of things are different. So when you're in the regular classroom, you have basals. And I know a lot of people say bad things about basals, but honestly, basal, so you have textbooks that, like the teacher manuals that tell you what you're teaching. They give you your objective. They go through systematically, and you build on skills, right? And they have a scope and sequence and all this stuff.
Right.
And you discuss it for all your subjects. The thing about basals, and this is what I get annoyed with teachers in general for, they always go, "I hate basals, it doesn't let me be creative." And it's like, no, I always looked at my basal, I looked at my basic, and if I liked it, I did it. If I didn't, to be perfectly honest, I never did it the way it's kind of like how I cook. I never follow a recipe. Okay. And the same thing. So I looked at it, I looked at my objective, and I took what I liked from it, and if I didn't, I created my own. Because but at least it gave me a guideline, right? So I'm going into the music classroom, there's nothing. I looked at that basal, and I was like, what?
Right.
This is nothing. I can't create anchor charts. I can't.
Yeah.
So the way that I was teaching was completely turned on its head.
Yeah.
So then after I got through the first year, I survived. And after we did our level 1, I thought, okay.
We had a direction after that.
Oh, yeah.
And we thought, okay, I have material now. And
and
then slowly but surely, I started going back to what I consider my basics. So whenever I taught, I had an outline. So when my kids came in, they knew exactly what to do. I was very structured because I'm very disorganized. So I have to be structured. So I had, they knew exactly what to do. They had routines. And so I thought, okay, I need to go back to creating routines. I need to post my behavior expectations, my rewards, my consequences. So everything is spelled out. And then the other thing I did is I created like a little template for myself of how I'm going to start music. So, for example, I always post my agenda every day. I'm meticulous about it because it keeps me on track. And so sometimes I post it in the back so I won't forget stuff. I can see it. And my kids keep me like on it.
It's easy to forget if you've already taught it 3 times in a day.
Exactly. Yes. By the third time, I'm like, I think I got it. And then I make up my own stuff, and I'm like, wait, didn't I
forgot that?
Why am I done so early? Oh,
yeah.
I forgot number 2. So my kids keep me on track, or I post it somewhere so I can see it. And then I do other things, like, for example, I say, okay, what's going to be my introduction? What's going to be my warm up? And sometimes my warm ups, I try to include rhythm, movement. This year I'm incorporating movement as my first thing. So when the kids first come in, we do movement. They go immediately to scattered position, and we're doing some kind of movement.
Nice.
That's what I do first. Then I take attendance. Then I do learning goal and success criteria. I take attendance. I'm meticulous about that. Always worried about safety because in an emergency you don't know.
Sure.
Right.
So I always take attendance, and then I'll do like CS. So I'll do conversational solfege. We'll do some kind of rhythm thing. And then we'll do a vocal warm-up. We always sing, and then we get down to the crux of the lesson. That is my basic outline.
So now you've got a solid structure.
Yeah.
I had to create that for myself because I had to go back to like what things kept me sane in the regular classroom, and those were the takeaways for me.
Yeah.
And the behavior was like never an issue for me. I never was, because I've taught 6th, I've taught. No, the kinders were scarier to me than 6th graders. They scared me. I was like, oh, what am I going to do with kids that 5 seconds is like, their attention span. And then they're rolling around, and we had like a couple of years, we had some kinders that were like, oh God, we had the class, and now they're in 2nd grade.
I'm curious, like, because all of us are common denominators. First off, music teachers, also ORF training. That's some of our common denominators. You are definitely, I hate to use the term outlier, but you're very different in the form that you were in the classroom beforehand. Also, you were a bilingual teacher as well. And you've shared some strengths that you've gained from that experience.
By the way, I used to be a piano teacher too. I started off when I was 18 teaching piano.
So you're just
play for my. No, I've been teaching. I started teaching when I was 16. I used to teach quinceañeras.
Okay.
I used to teach the waltzes, the dances, and then I started teaching piano for my piano teacher. She taught me how to teach piano so that I could afford my lessons because I couldn't afford them. They were expensive.
It's crazy.
So she taught me how to teach, and so it was funny that I didn't want to be a teacher. And yet,
it was what you'd done,
I've been doing it
naturally.
forever. Yeah, and so I had piano students. I had like 11 or 12 students when I was in college, and then I supplemented my education by singing. I started singing in a band.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sang in a Latin band. I sang in 2 bands.
But with all that, like the different perspectives you come from, like what's something that you feel like you have not necessarily have a stronger foundation? Well, yeah. What's something you gained from those different experiences that we never ever had? The challenges of doing that you've
well, I think one of the things I think was I like challenge. I was frankly kind of bored.
Okay.
I'd already done 4th grade for 12 years, and I was like, I mean, I love it. I started in order to make things interesting for myself, I like social studies, I like politics, I like all that stuff. So I started giving it more meat. Like I started using like primary resources, stuff like that, and so it was really difficult for me to leave the classroom because I felt that was really important, and I felt like when I left, I felt like I was leaving for fluff. And what I've come to realize is that music is a miracle for children. It is an equalizer. It has become incredibly powerful. And it's funny because I've seen the power of music in my own life, and yet
you discounted it
because I'm trying to. When you're working with your own community, there's a sense of urgency, and I've always had that urgency about my students because I know how they don't have access. Things are not easily accessible to them. They don't have the money.
Before you go on, could you we're going a little backwards, but as far as going back to the program notes, could you explain what is your school situation like? Can you describe OTA
100% free and reduced lunch. We have a lot of trauma. We have homelessness. We have a lot of students living with grandparents. So we have luckily we have a very strong social emotional learning program, and our students greatly benefit from it. But we have a very difficult population, a very difficult population. So it is not cookie cutter. It's not easy to work with. But that's kind of where I like to work. Kind of. I mean, I don't know what it says about me, but that's kind of where I feel like I belong. And when I was working in what I call Disneyland at Wolf Canyon, I felt like I'm hardly working. Well, because it was so, I had kids reading at 12th grade level. I didn't know what to do for them. I was like, what do I do I'm used to having kids that are struggling and not at grade level, right? And there I was like, holy moly, what am I going to do with a kid reading at 12th grade level? I was like, whoa. So it took me in a different direction. But I'm grateful because I think from my learning experience, what I gain is I have seen just about everything. So I'm not scared, for example, of children. Like when I first went to 6th grade, I would have been scared of 6th grade had I not known the students that I was going to. Because when I went from 4th to 6th at Wolf Canyon, I had those kids. I already had them. So I had the same group of kids for 2 years. I knew them. I knew their families. So I would have been scared. You're always scared of the unknown. So for music, I was terrified because I didn't know what I was doing. But like I said, once I met you guys, and then, and for me, I think my biggest takeaway is to continually want to learn. Like I don't.
You're not slowing down.
Nope.
No,
I got to keep up with you.
I think complacency is the death of a teacher. Honestly,
definitely.
When I've seen teachers, for example, and this was early on in my career, who would just recopy their lesson plans from the last year.
Right.
And I was like, how do you do that? I've never taught a year the same ever. not only because your population changes, but because it's boring. So I was like, okay. And I saw people just do that. They just, same thing. I could tell you what week we were on in the year because it was the same bulletin board, the same activity, everything
the same
was
book.
the same.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm interested. I was a little surprised to hear you say that you viewed music as you were going to fluff for a little while, because I know you don't believe that now.
No, but I felt guilty because I thought, it's going to be easier. And then, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm working harder now than I worked in the regular classroom. I'm not kidding. I hardly get home before 5 o'clock. I am exhausted. I don't think I really understood what I was getting into.
I don't think any of us could have known.
I don't think anybody does, right? And
No.
so I came in, luckily I had some experience, but that didn't, I felt like it didn't help me at the beginning, but I wasn't able to see because I was in, holy crap, what am I going to do?
Right. Yeah.
That kind of thing. But
what am I going to do with no resources?
Yes, exactly. And I didn't know anything about stringed instruments. And I'm sitting there like, how do you I remember the first time I tuned a violin, I broke the string.
Oh, no.
Because I didn't know how to, I was afraid to touch the pegs. I was like, what am I doing? I don't know what to do with this. And it was just like, so it was really scary.
I'm wondering if you have any ideas about how we can begin to advocate for ourselves with our fellow staff members, though, because I think we've definitely all faced that at varying degrees, and it's certainly not everybody, but I've felt it, where it's easy for somebody to see what we do. And even my husband, Brian, has made this comment after being in my classroom to film. He understands, it looks like I'm just playing with the kids, but it's calculated and there's an objective behind it. But it would be very easy for someone to just say, all you do is play with the kids all day and have fun. So I'm wondering, is that our job to advocate?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So
part of the problem,
what do you think?
Part of the problem, and this comes from a classroom teacher who had somebody at their school working in the arts. I felt like, I thought, what are they doing? I never saw any output.
Right.
I was producing artwork that they were putting up in the office, but the art teacher wasn't.
Okay.
So I was like, what are you doing? So I looked at it as they were just like, okay, I guess they were just there to support us, support people, right? But at my school, the three of us, my Jamila, who's the dance and PE teacher, and Daniel, who's the art teacher, we all come from the classroom. So Monica expects, as my principal expects, something different from us.
As in objectives and spelled out, or what do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an expectation. But what I've done with, for example, my colleagues, I try to really think from their perspective of how this is going to impact them, because I understand the pressure that they're under to raise test scores and to have their students perform.
Right.
So when I request children to be out of their classrooms, I always ask them, when is a good time? And I try to be very respectful of their time because I know that they have to test. I don't. So I try to be very cognizant. And all three of us, in fact, Jamil and I always talk about that. How can we have less impact on their teaching time? So we try to think about times. I always ask them what are the times that are best to pull out kids. So consequently, what I've been trying to do is pull out the kids that are high performing so that they are able, and then I pull out the kids and I tell them, if you're going to be in here, you have to be responsible for making up your work. I can't have you pulled. And I give teachers that option. For example, if a kid hasn't completed their work, they don't come. And I get upset with a student.
Not for general music. This is for
extra
performing opportunities.
Nobody's
Nobody's missing music class because of grades, right?
Not really.
I just wanted to make that clear.
No. Nobody misses. I'm talking about like
orchestra,
like advanced orchestra, for example. The sixth grade team is very demanding, and they're awesome. Actually, they're getting the kids prepared for middle school, so they do a lot of they switch. They do a lot of switching, and they're departmentalized, and so their workload is quite high. They have to do community service. It's really awesome. It's intense. So sometimes the kids wouldn't get their work done. Yeah. And oh my God, I would pull them aside, and I was like, no, you cannot do this. You better figure it out. Stay after school, whatever, but you got to get your work done. Yep. So I was fortunate enough to meet with my advanced orchestra twice a week during the day.
Wow.
That's not happening this year. This year I have a mallet club and I have advanced orchestra once a week. I'm trying to change that. And then after school we teach. But anytime that I try to impact students, I try to be mindful of teachers. But honestly, you have to build relationships with them. I've had teachers at the beginning tell me, "Oh, are you getting paid the same? You know, like I'm doing less work."
Right.
And so sometimes, like, if I'm in the lounge and somebody will say, "Oh, I can't wait for this class to leave," and I'll look at them and say, "Yeah, I get them for the 6 more years. I don't get to say, oh, bye-bye."
Right.
So sometimes I will talk about the differences when you know, Jamil and I are in there, and we'll say, "Yeah, like when we were in the classroom, it was like this, but now it's like this." So we will talk about how this has impacted our lives, how different it is, and yet how difficult it is, right? So a lot of teachers are very supportive of us. I've had a lot of teachers say, "Oh my God, I can't do your job," and I'm like, "Yeah, you can." It's hard. So really bringing them into the fold and letting them see. But I'm going to tell you, there are some teachers that are just not going to be receptive.
Sure.
Because they think
I think
just
that's
there.
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, because they just think we're there to, you know, to play, I guess.
Yeah.
And I had that with one kinder teacher. She basically said, "Well, just tell me what you're doing, and I'll just sing with them." And I was like,
And I know, but I love how you said that music is magic and it's a great equalizer. And so, like, you just
to me, it's a miracle.
a miracle. I love that.
Like for orchestra,
Yes.
Zoe and I are doing the SDYS, and oh my God, I was really hating life the last week of school because we were there.
Really
we went
tough.
to music camp and we were there with our kids. You know, I was there from 7 to 6, right? 6:30. You know, the one kid that was never picked up on time, and oh my God, I was like looking at them like, I don't even want to see you right now. And yet I had one of my kids who's autistic. I couldn't believe, first of all, he showed up for orchestra. I was like, "Are you
He was
seriously
there
here
every
right
day.
now?" Yeah.
Yeah.
And he, Lori, one of our colleagues who were already interviewed, she had her kids mentoring my kids, my beginners. And she sent me this video that made me cry on the bus.
Yep. It was beautiful.
This little boy was working with one of her students, and he was doing so well. I sent it to his father. His
He
father
was so
teared
focused.
up. Very focused. And to me, I thought, and that's why.
And that's why. That's all you
that's
need.
Right there. Because
Like,
I was
that's the
feeling
entire
like,
week.
why am I doing this?
Right.
I was having that moment, right, when we
Yeah.
all think, I need to rethink my life choices. And I got sent this video, and I was like,
And there it is.
I was crying on the bus. And
Yeah.
I was like trying to wipe my tears because, you know, and I immediately sent it to his father.
That's why we keep going. We're all witness to these miracle moments, and they always come right when we need them.
Yep.
You know.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and the other gift of year-round school is we have frequent breaks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I couldn't do
It's
this
seasonal.
job.
Yes.
That last week was so intense. By Friday, I was peace out.
Do you have a
Shall
spiccato
we?
for us?
Yes,
course I
of
do.
course.
Oh, yes.
I have a comb. This is for wet hair, okay?
Okay. It's
so you
wide
know.
tooth.
It's white
For
tooth.
curly hair.
And I brought baby wipes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So, what to do in a classroom
What
with
to do
these
in a
guys?
classroom with the two objects.
Well, for me, I think I would definitely use the comb for my hair. That's so evident.
John is bald if you're listening to this.
Thanks.
And I would use a baby wipe to wipe John's head.
There we go. I mean, we all get sweat.
I don't know. I thought about maybe putting these two things together.
And making an instrument.
Yeah.
I
don't
kind
know.
of miss the days when I was carrying baby wipes around with me all the time because they are so useful
I thought
for
about
everything in life.
Everything.
Yeah, I think that every teacher needs to have baby wipes on them, especially when you work with 400 children
Oh, yeah.
because things get sticky. I'm
Yeah.
always like, why are you
Yeah.
sticky?
So
Like I'm
Gummy
holding their
mallets.
hands and I'm like, why are you wet?
No, I walk around like a doctor afterwards.
No.
I do not
Hands
touch
in the
my
air.
face until I wash my hands, especially
Right.
after kinder. It's like, oh no. I thought
Yeah.
about using these like to put on things, maybe to dampen them.
Okay.
Or I also thought about letting them dry and then using them like to crunch or maybe just to wipe. And it does make sound. So you can amplify.
Okay.
So
thought about
when you
that.
have a microphone, just rub it.
Yes.
just rub it with a baby wipe.
And then I thought about like I don't know where I got this, okay?
Like
this
the
is too
paper
heavy.
over the comb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you blow on it. You can
Right.
make like a harmonica or maybe even put like rubber bands on it and maybe twang it Like different
Definitely.
size rubber bands.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah,
Right.
you can make a lot of
I
instruments.
don't know. Because after our level 3 and playing with newspapers, everything is an instrument.
Totally.
Everything.
Well, and everything is a prop.
Yes,
I want the
that's-
comb.
okay.
So we play props. You know, the old Whose Line Is It Anyway TV show, how they
Yeah.
play props and they would just have a basket full. So we play it sometimes. And so this is a mustache.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's a hairdo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
There's, yeah, yours could be a porcupine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is.
You can be an animal.
I
You
feel
could
like
be.
if this was a metal comb, it would have much more of an amplification. Like many combs have like the thick and thin aspect.
Yes.
You can kind of use it as a kalimba
plastic
almost.
one. Mhm.
Ooh.
You need some
Get a
sort
nice
of way
twang.
to oh, actually, do we have a? Your baby wipes has a hole.
this
it's
one
not,
here? You
It's not
mean-
really resonating enough. But yeah,
The
maybe
plastic.
just a sense of twang, sense of just like percussive element to it.
I just think
Totally.
you could add all kinds of
An
things to
instrument.
that comb because it has because it's a wide tube comb. You can get like sound out of it. Yep.
There we go.
Ooh.
On the carpet.
There
On
you
the
also.
carpet, especially, it would make a good
You
sound.
can do it on anything. I mean, think
Yep.
about
Mark
it.
had something.
Well, almost anything.
Yeah. So
Well, how about a drum? No, you want to scratch the membrane.
no, you
Ooh.
put it on the opposite side of drum. So hand drum upside down.
Oh.
And then if you want to get creative, put a little sand in there and wipe it. and it
Ooh.
should be
Okay.
fine.
And you could, if you put enough sand, you could make yourself a Zen garden and
There
make
it
really
is.
nice
Oh my
designs.
goodness.
then-
I love that.
Yay.
This is like your little rake.
Exactly.
There you
Whoa.
go.
What's the last prop you have there?
Oh, this,
Oh,
lid.
that was something that they got at IKEA to
Oh,
get
okay.
that we brought.
Yeah,
So
Alright.
we
it,
put
it
in
was
the garage.
missing from my jar. So
Gotcha.
But I
Just
thought,
a
oh my God,
random
you
lid.
know.
That's
but
really
this
funny.
is easy. This is so easy. It's wood, for
Sure.
the love of God. You can
Yay.
use this
Make
as a
a noise
rhythm
on it.
instrument. Yeah, this is easy.
It's also a hat.
I
look
prefer baby wipes to just like the regular clean wipes, just because I feel like there's less chemicals,
There is.
especially if you.
There is.
Yeah.
So I just, and then I
so
thought
it's a
about the
little
bag
safer.
itself.
Yeah.
It's
Very
like,
crinkly.
Oh, I think our podcast is going to love that sound.
Yeah.
no, but I mean, sorry, but you know,
Right in the mic.
but you can totally use it.
Totally.
What's the name of the lid from IKEA?
Oh my God. This one's actually good. It's Fager.
Figure.
It's not
Fager.
the. It's not the karuka-dink-a-dink.
We were trying to
We were trying to figure out what was what, and I'm going.
Worthy Epic balance.
So I'm sitting there telling Zoe, "Hey, it's the Fanagalungan. Do you have the Fanagalungan?
Wait, what was $4.99?
Wait, the Falaganugan. Wait, what's it called?" I had an elephant. I don't know what it was called. It was like the Kanongalunkabang. I was just cracking up. So Zoe and I were laughing, and so we're sitting there trying
This
to.
has been a very PC episode. Thank you for listening.
Sorry, it just went out awful. I couldn't do it.
Oh my goodness.
Awesome. Before we get to the round of the week, Sandra, I really appreciate you were one of our first subscribers to Chaotic Harmony.
I was.
And
Yeah.
I
I
really
was.
appreciate it. And
Biggest fan.
those listening, we appreciate you guys listening, but to keep us rolling, we would love it if you guys could subscribe to us on
Definitely.
on our YouTubes, as well as if you like what you hear, send us a review on iTunes. 5 stars only is the only thing you can send. But like,
I mean, really.
I
Really.
seriously love it. I have found it very helpful. I've gotten ideas off of the things you've done.
Off of this? Crinkle, crinkle.
Yes, yes, but also like some of the rounds you've done and just the information has been really helpful. So
I think it's important that we feel not alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is.
You're gonna keep crunkling it.
Okay.
Mark's removing it.
Sorry, Mark.
Yeah.
No, I do. I think it's important that
Yeah.
we support each other because we are by
Agreed.
ourselves most
Yeah.
of the time, right?
definitely.
And our jobs are not easy.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah. We're
I'm
getting
glad
ready
to have
go
you
back.
on the team, girl.
Oh, thank you. No,
Yeah.
I love my friends. This is my tribe right here.
Yeah, it is.
I finally found a group of people I fit in with. Yay.
Yeah, I don't know what that says about you, but if this is the best you could do,
That sounds weird. That's
Okay.
weird. But that's okay.
But yeah, listeners, if you could do us a favor to subscribe and also send us a review. Also, if you like what we listen, what you hear, or if you have some things you think we could improve on, feel free
Yes.
to write that
Let
in the
us
review
know,
as well.
please.
Yeah, we also have an email. If you want to like, send ideas to us, we have an email. It's at
Chaotic Harmony Classroom
Classroom.
at gmail.com.
Might be.
Yes. Round of the week.
So it goes like this. Round and round we go, we hold each other's hands and weave our lives in a circle. The day is done, the dance goes on.
So cool.
It's really pretty.
My kids love it because of the syncopation.
Shall we try?
Yeah. Round and round we go, we hold each other's hands and weave our lives in a circle. The day is done, the dance goes on.
Can you do the dance goes on at the end for me real quick?
The dance goes on.
Okay.
I think I'm singing it right.
Yeah.
The dance goes
on.
on. All right, let's try it
because
again
it's
from the
a-
top. Ready?
Round and round we go, we hold each other's hands and weave our lives in a circle. The day is done, the dance goes on.
You alto, gosh, she's in
I know.
I'm like really down here.
This
right
is
now.
Ursula.
I can do it higher if you
Good
want.
morning.
No, it's all good.
I can
It's
sing
all
higher.
good.
I'm just, this is my normal speaking voice. Yeah. So
This
I know.
is my speaking voice. Shall we
This is my
try?
singing voice. So we can do it higher if you want.
No,
Round
that's
and
fine.
round we
I-
go, we hold each other's hands and
Weave our lives in a circle. The day is done. The dance goes on.
We got it. Let's do this.
Okay.
All right.
So
Five
who's
part?
going to start first? Me?
We'll go.
Okay, go.
5 part.
Team Sandra.
Let's do five
Let's do
part.
5 part.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Bring it.
Okay, I'll start
Where
first.
is the break?
Are we going to
The
do it
break,
once or twice?
the break is on weave.
Why?
Got this.
Why?
So are we going to do it twice
How
or
about
once?
Mark and I are on a
Once.
team?
Thanks.
Let's do once, I
Chicken.
say.
Okay, once. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Round and round we go, we hold each other's hands and
Round and
weave
round we
our
go,
lives
we
in a
hold each other's hands
circle.
and
the day
weave our
is done,
lives in a
the day is
circle.
done.
The day is done, the dance goes on.
Weave our lives in a circle. The day is done, the dance goes on. I love this song.
I love
That's
it too.
lovely.
It was lovely.
Thanks, guys. I love you
Yay.
guys.
Thanks for coming.
Please subscribe, people. It's really good.
All right.
There's a lot of good information here you could
Also,
use.
Sandra, where could people find you on the Twitters?
Yeah. You got a
At
very active
Otai.
Twitter.
So, say it again.
At Otai. Oh, barely.
At Otai.
At Otai Music.
At Otay Music. O-T-A-Y.
Why? I know. Otai.
Music.
As they say,
I know.
Otai.
I know.
Otai.
I
It's
know,
all that
because
good
nobody's from Southern
pronunciation.
California. That's why.
I know.
At Otime Music. How about you, Mark?
You can find me at Mr. Keehmer.
I'm at Miss Kumagai.
I'm at Finny Vappa.
And I'm at Mr. Seligman, MrSeligman. Also, you can contact us at Chaotic. No, so I'm sorry. On Twitter, it's at CH Classroom. Feel free to send us a tweet.
Yeah.
Well, now I know how.
All right. Thanks for listening, you guys. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye.
The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore, Jonathan Seligman, Zoe Kumagai, and Marc Keehmer. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at CHClassroom, Instagram at Chaotic Harmony Classroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Brian Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com.
Okay.
So actually, at the very
Hi,
end,
this is and subscribe.
no,
I love how Google Maps, I think it's Google Maps, is always like, turn right on OTAY Lakes Road.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You know
they
what it says
can't
on
figure
mine?
it out.
Otai.
Oh, I have a
Okay.
funny story
Okay.
about pronunciation. So my family always grew up, I grew up out west until this random stint in my life where we lived in Alabama, and nothing is pronounced like Southern California out there. And they were so lost one day, and we pulled over at a gas station. It was like the first day we were in Alabama, and they're like, "Hi, can you help us get to Decatur? We can't find it." And the guy at the gas station's like, "Oh, do you mean Decatur?"
Decatur.
Same thing when we were in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. Bernal Heights. I couldn't figure out what Bernal Heights was, and I was calling it Bernal.
Bernal, yeah.
Bernal,
Bernal.
And they were like, yeah, Bernal Heights. I was like, what's Bernal Heights? And then
Bernal.
I saw it, and I was like, oh.
wait, is it Decatur?
Decatur. No, it's Decatur.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, wrong for
No.
Decatur.
The best one is Worcester.
Yeah, oh gosh.
What is it in Massachusetts?
Yeah, Worcester.
Worcester.
Houston.
It looks like Worcester.
Yeah.
And I call it Worcester. I was like, what's
goodness.
Worcester? Oh yeah.